It's on! Wouldn't it be funny if the copyright rev violation was actually for the "It's On" and not for the song, and I just changed it? Hey everyone, welcome to another edition with the new song of the Disney Parks Talk Live.
It's right up there at the top.
The
For us,
show
not for them.
we talk live about Disney parks. My name is Juby Mosley. I'm the co-founder here at Laughing Place. Over there is my wife Rebecca. How you doing, Rebecca?
I'm doing well.
Down below me is our man about the world, Mike Celestino. And next to him is our man about the world, even more, Jeremiah Good.
Even more about the world?
So between the four of us, where have we been over the past 2 weeks? I know I've been to Tokyo. Mike's been to Tokyo. Jeremiah, where you been?
I've been to Hong Kong. Well, I started at the Disney Destiny event in Orlando, and then I flew to Hong Kong for 24 hours, and then I moved on to Paris, which started as just a couple of days and then turned into more days, which was amazing to spend that much time in Paris. And I'm currently in South Carolina.
Woohoo!
So did you ever go the opposite direction, or did you continue flying?
I have circumnavigated the world, yes.
Does that mean you're like a day younger than the rest of us or something?
I do not think so. Ask me that in about a week when I'm caught up, that I'll...
So Jeremiah's just been immersed in that Disney magic and just traveling the world and seeing all the different resorts and everything. But one of the things that I wanted to showcase here at the top of the show is this week, Disney is embarking on the Week of Wishes. They're reminding everybody of their 45-year relationship with Make-A-Wish by giving out 171 just this week. And some of the ones that they have recently highlighted is a Once Upon a Wish party, Orlando Airport, highlighting all the families that are arriving for that event. During the NFL draft, you may have noticed a couple of wishes being fulfilled there. So it's thanks to that huge Disney umbrella. And that's part of the reason why our team is always traveling all over the place, because the Disney company is such a global collection of products and storytellers now. They can have this kind of reach with Make-A-Wish, and so they are showcasing that. You'll find some of those stories right here on Laughing Place. Wanted to kind of kick the show off with that, but Doobie's big news of the week.
So Jeremiah, you got to travel the world. How many times did you get to travel on this cool airplane?
That would be zero.
Boo.
Although that is a very cool airplane. I did see some of the coverage coming out about that. Reminds me of back for Walt Disney World's 50th when Southwest did their plane, but they didn't have, Lewis and Naveen on the tail.
So this is the good thing they didn't put Lewis on the tail. He's pretty heavy. It could have so this is the Alaska Airlines new livery they put on there for Princess and the Frogs and Tiana's Bayou's Adventure specifically, in time for Disneyland's 70th. If LP needs anyone to go ride this plane, I'm always available. I know we don't normally do Alaska Airlines. When it first launched, it was going between Portland and Santa Ana, John Wayne. I did notice though that LA Flights, which is a channel I watch often, they just have a camera trained on LAX watching planes come and go. This thing landed there yesterday. I got to watch that replay, which is kind of cool seeing it come in. I'm talking about this way more than it deserves, but I love airplanes and it's my show, dang it, so I did it. But we can move on now.
Before we move on, though, I want to say that one of the fun things about this flight is later on they're going to have some Tiana snacks. I'm personally hoping for those gummy frogs that you can find at Disney parks right now. So we'll see when that rolls out, because they said later this summer. So we'll try and keep an eye out on that. But if you are somebody who has flight software, I'm leaving the tail number up there for you so that you can take a peek and see if this plane is landing at an airport near you.
Right now, this plane is on the way from Puerto Vallarta to Seattle. And I'm very pleased to say Flight Radar 24 already has the new livery in its picture database. So
there you go.
It is somewhere over to Nevada right now on its way to Seattle.
Okay. Speaking of flights. There's going to be some new flights coming to the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, and our team was at Star Wars Celebration. Mike Celestino, what can you tell us?
So I feel like more information keeps kind of dribbling out about this update, but sadly, I wasn't able to be at the panel presentation when they announced all this stuff, but I did get to interview a couple Imagineers about it. And my understanding is that, yeah, we'll be visiting a few new planets. The cool thing is the engineers who are the third row in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon will get to choose which planet you visit on your journey. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of yelling at them. And then
as
also
opposed to the pilots.
Yeah. And you also get to interact with Grogu if you're an engineer, as you saw in that previous shot there. So there's some new interactivity, new gameplay elements, and then I guess the hope is that your trip will be different each time. There's multiple missions now coming to Smuggler's Run, which I think is appealing for those who have grown tired of the previous version. But yeah.
Okay. Can I take I want to take a little bit of exception the way it was written up in the Laughing Planet. Why am I so blurry? I am blurry, right? It's not my
I see it too, yeah.
Okay,
you always
cool.
look beautiful to me, hon.
Thank you. But
I thought it was Vaseline on the lens.
I know, right? Like doing that aging actor.
That's
trick.
me.
Our article talked about engineer as being the less desired, trying to make the spot less desired, that had been less desired, more. I'm sorry, but that was always my number one pick when I would go. And so I was thrilled because a lot of times I would do single rider and they would just, plug us in to the engineer spot. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about this change though. Woohoo!
Yeah, I do feel like there are certain people who prefer to get the pilot job and some people who do enjoy the engineer. Although I will say that the challenge is limited on the engineer role. Yes. And maybe that's the appeal to some people. Like I frequently get 100% if I'm the engineer.
I think that's why I like it so much. The other thing that made me happy about this announcement is we finally get the destinations of Bespin into our travel plans. And ever since the launch of Star Tours way back in the 80s, I have longed to tour, head off to Bespin. So I am grateful. Gideon pops in saying, I'm a pilot fan. And I'm not sure exactly what Gio's trying to say here with the not keen on. Oh, wait. Is he trying to say that if he's a single rider, he's going to end up babysitting Grogu?
That's funny.
Oh.
Is that what he's trying to say here?
No, I'm thinking he's stuck in the engineer when little kids or pilots running into everything while their parents are videoing them.
It is the best is when you have a sibling team as the pilots and they're screaming at each other. That is my favorite. I'm sorry, but
so it was Coruscant, Bespin, and I'm forgetting what was the third planet. Do you have that?
Tatooine, and also
Tatooine.
Endor was thrown in there too.
Okay.
And
right. Because you could visit the wreckage of the second Death Star. That's right.
Yeah, and this is all to build excitement because of the upcoming film, right?
Yes. So this will be opening in May of 2026, along with the new movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu, which got some news.
We'd better run into a star speeder when we go to some of these locations.
Wait, didn't somebody say they saw a star speeder in the art that they showed?
Yep.
I thought I saw that.
Eagle-eyed viewers spotted a Star Tours vehicle. Mike, you were at Star Wars Celebration. I know we have so many park-specific headlines, but can you maybe give us a little tease of what we might? I mean, because you're going to talk about it on Who's the Boss, or you have talked about it on Who's the Boss.
Yeah, have talked about it.
Okay.
I will say it's always a whirlwind, and it always goes by really fast. But this one was shorter than usual. It was only 3 days. I feel like usually it's 4 days. In Chicago 2019, I think it was 5 days. But this one, it was just like especially quick. It just felt like it was over immediately. But it was still great. I still love being there, and the enthusiasm and all the news coming out and the cosplay and the walking around the show floor. It just felt like a flash, and it was done though. And it was very, being there in a very unique location that I hadn't been before, certainly brought something unique to it. So yeah, I had a great time.
Be sure to check that out over on Who's the Boss Pod. We'll have a link below so you can be sure to check that out. Also, our podcast On Balance had a little bit of talk from the Imagineers involved with Disney Parks. I believe that showcased you again, Mike, within the context of that podcast. So
I got to do 3 interviews while I was there. The first, like Kyle said, was I had an actual panel. The kind of flip side of that coin was my panel was up against the Mandalorian and Grogu panel. But I had a little fun with that during my panel, and I got to interview a Star Wars author, Dr. Chris Kempshall, who wrote this book, The Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire. Really great, like Kyle said, really great conversation. So thank you for listening. And then I also chatted with those 2 Imagineers, Asa Kalama and Michael Cerna from Disney Live Entertainment, and we talked all about Star Wars at Disney Parks. Again, great fun conversation. And then lastly, I talked to the Hasbro Star Wars team about all their announcements coming to Star Wars toys, and you can hear all those 2 episodes ago now on Who's the Boss, because now we're into Andor. But yeah, great time overall.
And we'll talk a little bit more about Tokyo Disney Resort because thanks to Star Wars Celebration, most of the panel was there. But for now, we want to focus a little bit on the food because May the 4th is around the corner and Disney Parks have announced a number of items coming for it. We've got a Battle of Hoth macarons. We've got a Wookiee cookie. Some lightsaber churros. Over on the east, this is all Walt Disney World related. They're also finally getting that coaxium sipper along with some of the popcorn buckets that we've seen pop up on the West Coast during Season of the Force. Not to be left out, Disneyland Paris has a Yoda burger. They have a C-3PO dessert this is where I'm going to ask for the panel's thoughts. So we've got a Yoda burger. We've got a C-3PO cookie that is a lemon macaron. We've got a Vader, what they call a biscuit, but we know that biscuits over there are like cookies. So this is like a giant Oreo because it's got a white ganache in the middle. And then we have the R2-D2 Delicious, which is a chocolate hazelnut filled cookie. If these were gluten-free, Mike, which one would you dive into?
I actually would really like to try that Yoda burger if I could eat it.
Yeah,
I don't know what's on. It looks like maybe pickles and carrot, like a bunch of different greenery on there.
It does.
It looks tasty.
How about you, Jeremiah? Which one's reaching out to you?
I'd probably go with the macaron.
Yeah.
It just looks the nicest.
See, I'm all about the Nutella. Doobie, what would you be diving into?
Just based purely on looks, Darth Vader. Eating Darth Vader's helmet seems like fun. Yeah.
So,
I did eat Darth Vader's helmet in a waffle form.
Was it fun?
In the past. Yes, especially with lots of sugar. So as soon as I took the bite,
How come they call it
on Hoth?
How come they call it R2-D2 Delicious instead of R2D Delicious?
I wondered that too.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, I initially typed it that way and then realized it had a 2 there.
I also want to know why they have that in front of the Autopia sign too. That's what I don't understand.
Also, Paris is going to finally welcome those adorable little BDX droids. We got to see them again was that your first time seeing them, Doobie? Or had you seen them before?
No, seeing them in Tokyo was my first time.
Okay, so Doobie finally got to see the adorable droids in person. Were they as adorable as everybody tells you, Doobie?
They were very adorable. The thing that surprised me the most about them is there were these 3 droids, and then there were these 3 people standing pretty close by holding these sort of panel kind of things. And I'm not sure if there was any relation.
The switches,
there, but I was surprised how easily you could see those people. They weren't.
I thought they were
at all.
I thought they were Nintendo Switches also, but I have since heard that they are Steam Decks.
Yeah, they're just easier because the Switch has the multiple, but it is like this similar design.
But it was pretty cool, actually. Yeah, they were very cool to see.
How
They
cool
walk.
would
They
it be
actually
to?
walk.
Yes. I was thinking it must be pretty cool to be the person who like couriers these droids around the world to all the different parks and
Okay, so that's what I was curious. Is that what's happening here, or
I don't know. Are they overlapping?
or is there more than one squad? There's only one squad. Okay,
I don't
that
know.
was going to be my next question. Was have we seen any of these in the same location at the same time? I wasn't sure. I haven't been marking down their schedule.
I feel like it's Jeremiah's job to go see them in every location as they go around the world.
He's like,
Sorry, I will be getting home on May 4th. So.
You have to travel back around in the other direction so you could get back to your own time.
I'm just hoping my next leap is my leap home.
That would be a great segue if we were ready for the next story, but I don't.
I was so close, but instead I was going to say, well, Jeremiah, you're going to get home in time to be able to try this free activity coming on Star Wars Day.
Oh no, I am not going to try to do this.
Take and take. You can build your own little Grogu out of Legos. So there you go.
So what do you get this?
This is literally free. Like I could just walk up and do this.
You cannot just walk up and do that, Mike. You can wait 3 hours to do that.
It's as our article says from Maxon, it's an adorable pop-up activity highlighting the Mandalorian's Grogu. It's in partnership with the Lego store, Disney Springs, Downtown Disney. If you visit Downtown Disney, you'll see it. You can join in the fun. And not only that, it's May 2nd through the 4th. So if you want to kind of sneak in there, might not be as difficult to enjoy it May 2nd as it will.
I'll be there on the 2nd and the 4th, and I think the 5th. So I will try to do it on the 2nd and get it, and hopefully the beat the rush,
And finally, before we pop over to our special guests, we want to make sure that we've been talking a lot about it on the morning show. So just going to talk a little bit about it right now here. Beginning on April 30th, over 60 new beverage and food items are popping up.
There'll be over 70 new items.
Right. But it's not quite time yet. We've still got a couple of months before we can really lean into that 70. But yeah, there's a lot of new food items popping up at the Disneyland Resort at the end of this week, which means the end of this month. We've gathered it all together in one easy to view document, so that way you can save it on your phone and be ready when you get to Disneyland and know what's new. Maybe highlight what you want to be sure to catch so you don't overlook it and then get home and go, oh man, I really wanted to try that new steak salad. So
mark it down.
That looks pretty good.
It does, right? I said this is my favorite kind of salad, no lettuce.
The thing that I want the most is the new cup from Hungry Bear Jamboree Restaurant.
Oh, the new mason jar with Ursus on it. Yeah, that looks pretty awesome. With that, we're going to showcase a little bit more fan fun, but this time it's over at a Southern California resort that is not in Anaheim, and that is Universal. Benji, you were at Universal Fan Fest debut. Well, how was it?
It was good. Just some context. I'm not a horror guy, so I've never been to Hollywood Horror Nights, but I kind of imagine this is what it would be like if Horror Nights wasn't scary.
Okay.
And so we did the VIP tour, for two reasons. One is I wanted to see everything, but two, I was kind of curious how they would handle a VIP tour for something like this. I wouldn't recommend the VIP tour in that your express pass, again, if you don't want to wait in line, just get the express pass ticket, because that way you can focus on the worlds that are more interesting to you. Not that you can't leave the VIP tour, but you're paying for the VIP tour, so you might as well, there's different sections of the park are dedicated to different franchises with some sort of franchise leakage. So this is by Waterworld, where they have the dining for Star Trek, but the Star Trek experience is actually in the old, well, I guess it depends how old you are. Either the old Walking Dead experience, the old Marvel Mania experience, the old Horror Nights experience, whatever that world is for you based on when you would go. I really wanted to like this, and it was fun. It just wasn't as I had bigger dreams for it than it ended up being. I never got to go to the Star Trek experience in Vegas, and I was kind of hoping that this would be like that, and it really wasn't. It was really just a really odd plot to kind of just direct you through these different scenes. Now, it was cool to have the characters in makeup and go onto the actual set of Star Trek Picard, recreating the set of Star Trek The Next Generation. But I enjoyed it. It just, I went to a press conference about it, and I think they might have hyped it up a little too much for what it ended up being.
I really like the Nintendo balloon in these shots. They brought me great joy.
The guy the ensign just needs to like jump up.
Doink, doink. By the way, we have full coverage of all the various locations Ben's going to talk about, whether it's this Star Trek Red Alert or the Back to the Future or Dungeons and Dragons, yada, yada. We have video, we have photos. So if you aren't able to go or you want a taste of it before you head out yourself, be sure to check out the various links that we'll have below. But Benji, I'll let you get back to the fun that you had. I'm sorry, but this was your favorite, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think by all accounts, the best, I mean, yes, meeting Einstein. The Back to the Future experience in Courthouse Square, where they filmed the film, where every 45 minutes they sort of go through the last act of the movie. So you go from, Hill Valley's recreated here. They move the Enchantment Under the Sea dance to outside, and then every 45 minutes, they recreate Doc Brown going to the top of the clock tower. They projection map, depending on the time of day, how successfully that is, onto Courthouse Square, the sort of finale with fireworks and everything. But it's really cool because you can follow a character. You can follow Biff around. You can follow Marty around and just kind of go through the motions of the film. So whether it's George punching Biff, or being at the dance, or Principal Strickland kind of doing his shtick. It was pretty cool. I wish I had more. If I went back, I'd probably just spend 80% of the time in the Back to the Future set. And yes, you get to meet Einstein, who when you go on the tram, there's videos of Doc Brown kind of telling you it's not really all that important, just there, I think, to kill time. But the trams take you down to the lower lot, and they play. So, example, like when you're loading, they're playing 80s music, and then when you get to Courthouse Square, it's obviously the 50s.
Oh, that's cool.
But
so are you saying that the tram is mostly used as like a form of transportation rather than a round trip kind of experience?
Yeah, I mean, you do take it back, but it's the video. I don't want to overplay the role the tram has in this. Right. It's not really. It's more of a conveyance than it is a plot device.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we're going to take this tram to 88 miles an hour, and like, no, they don't. So,
what a bummer.
As somebody who has driven the tram, it definitely cannot get up to 88 miles per hour.
Kyle wants to know, was the Back to the Future show better than the Broadway?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, yes, it had Einstein, but if you take the Einstein quotient out of it.
And that Einstein quotient is something else. Look at him.
Yeah, so full disclosure, there are several Einsteins, so don't worry about the poor dog violating sort of union rules. But yeah, you get to meet Einstein. You get to have your picture taken of Einstein, who's sitting in the DeLorean. And
you get to pet him?
Such a good boy.
Did they let you get close enough to pet him?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I got right next to him. And you
do we know whose DeLorean that is? Is that somebody we know's DeLorean, or is that theirs?
I don't believe so. At least not someone I know. I will say, they have like carnival games that you can play, and the big prize is non-branded, just random parties. But the entry level prize, because you're guaranteed a prize, is Back to the Future themed. Like, I don't know what that chicken thing is. It has nothing to do with anything. I think I've seen that teddy bear at a trade show someplace. But if you go, but like they actually have Back to the Future themed. Like so Alex won it. Yeah, there you go.
Nope. Oh,
You
these
don't
are
get
down
to win
here.
Einstein, but yeah, you can win these guys. So Alex won me an Einstein.
Yay!
So
Very
you
cool.
don't. It's one of those games you don't actually want to win because the smaller prices are better. And so it's just a lot of fun. Like if I went back, not covering it, not needing to see everything, I would definitely spend the majority of my time in Back to the Future.
What's it like down there with so many, or does it feel like really crowded, like everyone's crowded around Marty, or how does it feel? How's it come across?
I mean, it was basically the first thing we did, so it didn't feel crowded. I don't know. There was never a wait. The wait was 5 minutes. I don't know if they were ramping up or not. I don't know if that's gonna be consistent, but
what are you waiting?
Crowded. I mean, it felt busy, but it wasn't like you couldn't see anything and couldn't engage with people.
So like there's Marty, and you said there's various characters around. Are they just kind of roaming around and you're just walking near them or whatever?
Yeah, you can engage with them. It's kind of a mixture of they have beats that they're trying to do, within the story, but then also just engaging. Like there was a guy cosplaying as Biff, so Biff was like, "Wow, that's a good-looking guy," And then there was what's his name of the mayor? Not Gordy Wilson, but the other one.
Red.
Yeah, there was a guy dressed up as that. I was like, wow, he's really not engaging with any guests. And then he pulls out his iPhone cable, and I was like, oh, is a guest.
Oh, wow.
This sounds like so much fun, specifically this section. So much fun.
I have a question. Oh, Jeremiah also has a question.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, there are scenes that take place in the part of the movie you're talking about where some of the characters are not involved, like George McFly punching out Biff. What is like Doc Brown doing during that moment?
I don't know, because I wasn't at that. I didn't follow every character around, but like, so I was when that happened. I didn't see that because I was at the dance where the band was playing.
I see.
So, like midway through, Lorraine and George show up, presumably after that incident happened. So there's multiple tracks you could kind of follow.
So you kind of choose where you want to be. Yeah. Interesting.
So one of the things, if you go check out Skywalking Through Neverland, one of our friends, they do a great bit where they ask Doc Brown, what does the yellow light mean? And if you know that joke, it is hilarious to watch the interaction that they do.
Okay.
When I woke up today, I was like, you know what's going to happen? A Taxi reference.
So I don't know you to be a Dungeons and Dragons participant.
Oh, then you don't know Benji.
So how did this segment, this entertainment portion reach you? As
So
somebody
it's very large in scope. This is in a legitimate sound stage. This is a puppet. It's not an animatronic, or it's a puppet. There's a guy in there supposedly. The audio on this was not great. I don't mean like in my video, which it probably also wasn't great, but like I couldn't hear. But there's two sort of characters that are engaging as you kind of go with you through the experience, and you couldn't hear both. They weren't mic'd throughout the thing, or it wasn't working. I don't know the difference. So you couldn't really follow along the plot per se, but you could definitely appreciate the scope of it. And I feel like something that maybe if I didn't go at 9 p.m. on the first night might have been a little bit more polished.
Okay, and then how were the Wicked characters received by the crowd? Because it's hard when you are bringing kind of familiar, when you have iconic performances, then you're trying to realize them in this format.
So I wasn't there to meet Glinda. Elphaba was impressive. I will say the most Disney thing about this event is when they're saying they can't meet together because at the end of the first film, they're not friends. I was like, that is the most Disney justification for anything.
Wow. Okay, that's funny. That's so good. And then what about Yoshi?
Okay, so this is Pink Yoshi. This is probably the worst managed experience of the event. I don't even know where we got that picture from. So this is billed as an event where you go. So there's Green Yoshi who you can line up and meet. However, it's one of those things where as soon as they open the line, it's at capacity. And then they have an egg hunt throughout the land. And if you get all the eggs, they give you this thing and they give you a sticker at each of the eggs. Some of the cast members were more sticklers about this than others, or team members, I should say. And then you get to go to like the secret Yoshi, where you either meet blue or pink, alternating. You don't know which one. After you do the egg hunt. What's frustrating about it is one of the eggs is right next to the meet and greet, so you literally pass by it. But if you don't have all of them, you have to go back downstairs to find the last egg and then get sent back upstairs. Now this event runs till 2 a.m. at FanFest nights. Nowhere did it say that this land closes at 11. And so we were on the tour and we went. Now it was posted that the ride would close at 10:30, but it didn't say that the land closed at 11. So after the tour, our tour guide said, "Oh, whatever, after the tour, you can do whatever you want, right? You're free to roam." So we went back to meet Yoshi to get a picture, mainly for the site, and we couldn't meet Yoshi. And Alex was persuasive to the team member and was able to have his moment with Yoshi. But it's a bit frustrating that particularly if something's going to be billed as an event offering, that they were not more upfront about the fact that that experience closes. And it wasn't just us that had that feedback. We were encouraged to go to guest relations to give them that feedback, so we did. And we were not the first person there that said it. In fact, if you read WWNT's review, they also mentioned this. So it is not an unknown issue, and I presume will be resolved one way or the other based off of the constant feedback. Although I would love to find out if it is. That's my ultimate universal test, is do they actually address this, or is this just going to keep going? But that was the biggest frustration of the night.
And then over in the world of Harry Potter, what kind of special additions were there?
So we have this projection wrapping show with some light fireworks called Hogwarts Always. I believe that there's different versions where a house wins. So we got the Slytherin version. Presumably
The house always wins.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. There is some irony to that statement, but I will. And then there's mythical creatures. Now we weren't able to meet all of them because they were not clear as to where they are or when they are out. So we met the Niffler and we met the baby dragon, and we did not meet the other thing.
The baby dragon looks cool.
Which is fine, but
yeah. So there you go. Did you eat anything that was particularly exciting during your?
Not really, because as part of the VIP tour, you have that dinner included, and most of the dinner was conventional. They did have some special desserts, but I wasn't really in the mood for desserts. And then they do have a bar that serves some of the beverages for the event, but I don't drink. You can, if you use the VIP tour, you can go to the bar, I think, until 1 a.m. there. But once again, I don't drink. So, and the VIP tour also has an exclusive line to go to the tavern, the Dungeons and Dragons tavern on the Lorelot, basically the new bar location upstairs. They turned into Dungeons and Dragon, but once again, wasn't used by me.
And then lastly, you've done a lot of the Disney After Dark events, and this is really kind of the first we've had that's not horror related, with the Hollywood, with Universal, and the price point is very different for the two, as I recall, right? Between FanFest and Disney After Dark. Do you guys recall off the top of your head? Because I feel like there was a big difference.
The
I think
FanFest
is like 75.
Yeah, 79 is the
79.
highest, where After Dark is starting at 120 or 130.
Yeah, it's no contest. I would go to Universal Fan Fest over Disneyland After. Disneyland After Dark, it's maybe a cavalcade and some characters.
Yeah.
Or this has actual experiences. Not to mention the uniqueness of, the experiences they're offering. The other thing I should mention, there was two sort of Japanese-inspired experiences. A One Piece fan zone, which was basically a character meet and greet. And then they brought the Jujutsu Kaisen attraction from Universal Studios Japan and put that in the DreamWorks Theater, which was odd in that like you're walking through the DreamWorks queue, so it kept having posters of like DreamWorks films, like at DreamWorks animation films, and the tour guide's like, ignore this. This isn't what you're doing. And we went in, and I mean, I'm not familiar with that brand or franchise, but it was neat to see an attraction lifted from another park because they reference Universal Studios Japan quite a bit.
It was cool for me to see this because Gideon's friends often kind of tease, I would say tease maybe is the right word, him about looking like this guy because Gideon always wears a big hat like that and often has on a red jacket. So
Does
it's
Gideon
fun
also
for me
have
to
a tattoo on his chest?
it was fun for me to finally see the franchise the IP that they mention when it comes to that. Let's see. Oh, I see. Regarding Yoshi, perhaps that photo was the one Ben and Alex took with him, but edited to remove them, says the Laughing Place editor.
That's impressive. That's
so there you go.
Good use of AI right there.
Hey, Robert. Thanks for stopping by. Benji, before we let you go and get back to your busy day, you got anything else you want to be sure to share about FanFest?
No, I mean, I recommend it. I mean, there were some operational glitches that being the first day. I think that's expected. Also, the same day, all of us fan media are out there, so that creates its own challenges. But if you have a chance, I would definitely check it out.
Okay, thanks for stopping by, Benji. I'll let you pull yourself off the screen. Bye. Meanwhile, Jeremiah's been traveling here, there, and everywhere. And we're going to start off with Jeremiah's adventure to Paris, maybe?
If we want to go chronological or
would that be Paris or is that Hong Kong? I don't even know now.
Hong Kong would be.
Okay, we'll pop over to Hong Kong first.
Trust me, I'm trying to remember these things from Hong Kong from a week ago myself. So yes, I headed over to Hong Kong. They did an announcement for their 20th anniversary, which kicks off in June. They had their media event, which was lots of fun. I hadn't been to Hong Kong since 2016. So walking in there, the park has changed so much, but also just seeing like they have a giant Duffy where the Mickey is because Duffy and Friends rule almost as much as they do in Tokyo, but not as much as they do in Shanghai.
You finally got to see the castle.
Yes. So I've been very judgmental about this castle because to me, these photos look like they just cut off the top and put stuff on top of the old base. No, the base is massive. It is beautiful. I wish that I could have spent more time just staring at the castle, but the mountains in the background really add to it. And you can just look at each spire and pick up the princesses.
Aww.
And like it was one of those things of seeing it in person. Definitely, you have to if you can't judge the photos.
I know we don't have a whole lot of time, so I'm going to kind of go quickly through this with you, and you can just, tell me what you want to be sure to talk about. But like you said, the 20th anniversary is coming in June. You were there for a red carpet event with Duffy and Friends.
Yeah. So we first got to see they teased the stuff that's coming for the castle show, and the castle show's name is Disney and Friends Live Party at the Castle. Every single time they asked me that, could not get it. But all the characters have new costumes. The plush that they first gave was the plush that will be for sale. So it was fun to see all the different characters out there. They played some of the music from it. We have these videos on our YouTube channel, so you can definitely go over and check that out. And then we got to see some of the parade floats for Friendtastic, which the Encanto float, the entire float is the casita and it comes alive.
Aww.
It was so impressive. The weird thing was, this media event was mostly for China. Hong Kong. I was the only American there. And I enjoyed at the beginning, somebody walked up to me and goes, "Are you Jeremiah?" And I just looked at him and went, "What gave it away?" But then we walked in, we went into one of their viewing areas, and they showed us stuff for the momentous, the 20th anniversary night show. And for the first time, they will actually have projections on their main street. So it looked really impressive. And much like they did with Paris for their 30th, they're going to have drones that'll do the 20. And then they have a balloon sculptor and lots of food. And Mike and I have covered enough of these where the merch table, usually we can do one round, we get all the photos. They had 4 different tables of merch. Like the
Wow.
photos of I just tried to get some of the highlights of the food and merch, but there was so much merchandise, including like little toys of each of the floats that are going to be the fantastic thing. It was really spectacular to see how they're going all out for their 20th. And then there was the massive red carpet. You guys have seen people swim on Main Street. I got to watch a red carpet that wasn't Johnny Depp on there. And it was cast members showing off their new costumes along with the different characters showing off their
that's
new
cool.
costumes.
Very cool.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. And definitely head over, check out the videos. Then I got to experience the park, including the Iron Man experience, which this was being built when I was there in 2016. So I was very excited to see it. And then that video is in the pre-show, and it has the music from Test Track for the background of that video, of that thing. So that was one of those things of like, you pause, you're just like, that's the copper penny took me out of the experience.
And before we head over to your Paris adventure, what do you think? You finally got to see Frozen.
And I've said this, and it's just like I said, the Epic Universe is an amazing park. Each of their worlds is very well themed. This Frozen Land is so amazing. The attraction is great. The little bobsled ride that I know both Luke and Kyle have been on, and they kind of like, it's very short. Yes, it's very short, but lots of fun. The entire land is so beautiful, and it is like Anna and Elsa were just strolling through multiple times, and they'd stop and interact with kids. So it was a great experience. And then the Frozen attraction is a copy of the one at Epcot, but it is much smoother. And we'll have another video of that coming up as soon as I get someplace where I can upload videos.
And then once you were done with Hong Kong, you took a flight over to Paris for some music.
And that was literally, I took a flight over to Paris. So the Disney Music Festival kicked off on the 19th, I believe that was. And if you plan to go to Disneyland Paris between now and September, this is a great experience to do it. They have multiple pop-ups throughout the park of Moana, Rapunzel, and Flynn Rider, just different characters, and with them are live musicians. The live musicians are amazing. The characters, they're still working on some stuff. Like the Mary Poppins and Bert, this takes place first thing in the morning. You walk in, and on the train station, there's Mickey in his band leader costume waving. And then Bert and Mary, along with the Pearly Band, they come out to the gazebo, and the Pearly Band plays. And Bert and Mary just walk around the gazebo in circles over and over and over again. And, it was the first day, so I thought, okay, maybe they're still getting used to it. Nope. A week later, it was still very much just kind of strolling.
So you described in this tweet that you say the music events go fast, so make sure you know the schedule and make a plan to get to them early. So is it kind of like what I'm going to describe as a progressive dinner, where you kind of go from location to location throughout the evening to eat? Is that kind of how this festival is organized?
There are multiple throughout the park, there are 12 activations, including Elvis Stitch, which you have to do a virtual queue in the morning or afternoon. but the locations that they've designed or that they've put these in are some of the smallest locations. I'm trying to give an example of, like, say you're in Disneyland. I mean, this is literally a courtyard. I think I tweeted out what the full courtyard is. If you're not one of the first 15 people there, you're 4 rows back and you can't see anything.
Okay.
So I waited 2 hours to be front row for Rapunzel and Flynn, and it was great to be there. But that one, I kind of spoke with a bunch of the different people out there that had seen it, and the Rapunzel and Flynn for me was one of the worst, not only for the location, but they had this great band, and Rapunzel and Flynn would come and interact with guests and then awkwardly dance around, and then they'd kind of awkwardly interact with guests and they'd dance around. There's no set story. I mean, if anybody that's been to Disneyland and seen the Mary Poppins and the Pearly Band in front of the castle knows that that's an amazing show, and it flows perfectly. They get the music, they get everything. This is more of a focus on the musicians, and then the characters are just kind of there to add on. The Moana one, I wasn't the one that I went to. I got there an hour and a half early, and I was still second row.
Oh, wow.
And then I talked to our friend Jeff Lang, who was at one of the ones where the guests they overran the location. Like, they had to cut the show short because the guests started coming out and interacting with the characters and not letting the show go on. Which, yeah, it's hopefully
seems like maybe they need a little bit of elevation.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I was.
Yeah, like they eventually. I feel like they began to have that more for the Epcot storytellers. I feel like in the earliest days of the Epcot storytellers, they were just kind of on that same level as you, and then over time, more and more, they were able to kind of find ways to have them be elevated and more accessible to a larger crowd. Kyle popping in, and asking, is that Daft Monk name catching on yet?
So these are some of the desserts that are themed. Chip and Dale appear at the Disney Hits concert that is inside the Videopolis Theater, which is probably one of my favorite things because you're sitting, lots of fun music, 5 live singers, 7-piece band playing live, and then at the end, Chip and Dale come out as DJs, and we along with many others have deemed them Daft Monk, including one of the other sites that was from the UK that actually had a shirt already made.
Wow.
And I was a little jealous of that. But yeah, so we have all of the performances on our YouTube. There's an article with the wrap up and has all the links to it. The Disney Hits concert, and the grand finale, which the name changed as the days went on. Those two are the best parts. And the grand finale, like, if you've never been to Disneyland Paris, they don't have a partner statue. Their hub is stages, and it takes place all around you, and it is absolutely amazing. Okay. One of the fun things that this group will appreciate the most, there is Maestro Goofy and his invisible orchestra that is him directing the fountains in front of the castle. When we got a chance to speak with some of the creative people, they didn't know about the DCA version of this from back in 2014 when it reopened. So this was a concept that the show director came up with and then was told later, like, oh yeah, they did one in California. So she loved the fact that, like, she didn't even know about this. But at first I thought it was a direct lift.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Speaking of Disneyland Paris, we've gotten some news. They've got specially priced annual passes for kids over there. So this is exciting. I love the idea of a special tiered price for your under 10s.
Yeah, this is a first. Annual passes everywhere, as far as I know, have always just been one price for everybody. And now Paris said no. They said no. L'enfant shall pay less.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, and it's interesting that this was announced because Disneyland Paris, while I was there, it was one of their busiest weeks that is not their summertime. And I want to say almost every day, Disneyland was at capacity. And I was talking to some of the people there. To get reservations for the park, they wake up at midnight and refresh and try to get that reservation for that. And it's much like Disneyland, where, well, I guess Disney World also, where you can just have limited of 3 reservations. So
Wow.
it is tight. So it's interesting that they're doing this at this point.
Meanwhile, over here in the US, we've got free kids dining plan for 2026 bookings. So, oh no, actually for travel through 2026.
Mhm.
So these will open up on April 22nd. So you can be sure to check that out. And yes.
I just going to say, of interest with this particular dining plan, the free kids dining plan, it says it can be combined with other offers. So usually the dining plan is when you only pay full price, yada, yada, yada. So obviously we have a recommendation for figuring out all the complications. And what is that, Rebecca?
mousefantravel.com/lavingplace. Kyle putting it in the chat with an actual clickable link. So be sure to reach out to the team at Mousefan Travel. Like we've shared with you before, when you book with a travel agent, specifically those like Mousefan who stay on top of Disney deals, they'll do their best to apply whatever opportunity for savings are coming to you during your trip. So if you book it and then some deal like this pops up, they will let you know so that you can take advantage of it, and they'll help you navigate whether or not this is actually a savings for you, because sometimes it may sound like it on the front end, but when you look at the realities of what type of vacation you book, it may not actually work in your favor as much as you would like. Let's see. Also at Walt Disney World, they've announced a VIP ass holder summer days. I'm sorry, that's what they're calling it. What do you want?
There's no period there after the P.
Thank you, Mike.
I'm sorry, that's what they're calling it. You are absolutely right.
Kyle, we need that clip, not just the VIP and then the rest. Just the rest is what we need.
I like how Kyle, and you're supposed to be the mature one. Yep. Okay, so pass holders can save 40% at select dining locations. They have like various ones depending on what time frame you're going to be there. If the savings are Monday through Thursday only, be sure to check out our article. They also have announced the return of one of Jeremiah's favorite things, that Epcot Lounge. You can go and relax in the air conditioning and not melt.
Well, speaking of Epcot Lounge, we now have the dates for Geo 82.
Yes,
I don't remember what the dates are, but the menus and everything, and the reservations start next month, I believe it was.
Exactly. Yep. And there's also some Disney store savings coming in June for pass holders. So meanwhile, in our wall update, we have a new wall. The walls have come down and we have this mural.
A wall to build a wall. It's cool. I love this mural.
Yay or nay, Celestino, you a fan of this wall?
So it said it's supposed to be LA inspired. Is that the idea?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the studios. It's
at Hollywood Studios. Yep.
Yeah.
Gives you that beach vibe.
I guess so.
Yeah. How about you, Jeremiah?
I need to see it in person because all the pictures have kind of looked like this, where you can't really tell what it is between the umbrellas and the people.
I like this portion. I'm less fond of this portion. I like this half. I'm less fond of this. So I'd like to see it in context. Annual pass holders over at Universal Studios Orlando. There's some additional dates for previews of their Epic Universe park. So I want to make sure you know about that. Dude, we have so many more headlines, but we just don't have time. So should I just run through them real quick, or what do you want, Juby?
No, I would not even bother running through them. It's all on Laughing Place. There's nothing else major. If there, I take that back. I would say Mike should talk about seeing Wally. If did we do that last time? No, we haven't. So yeah, I would do that one. And other than that, if we just wanted to have a word or two on Tokyo, I would close with that.
Okay, so Mike, you popped over to Pixar Place Hotel after having returned from Japan.
This was about a week ago, Tuesday, the 22nd, Earth Day, at Pixar Place Hotel, Disneyland Resort. Special appearance. I was told that was a one-day only thing by the security guard there. Is that accurate? Appearance by Wall-E in front of the Luxo ball and lamp. And in addition to Wall-E being there, there was also a Wall-E backdrop that did not have Wall-E. And I thought for sure when I saw that, that's where Wall-E would be posing, but he didn't. He came out and rolled out in front of the ball, and that's where he was meeting with people.
I'm realizing I pulled up pictures from the press release, not from your thing. So let me pull up the correct headline.
Okay.
Probably my fault. Sorry
there we
about
go.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the line. It had a nice long line of people waiting. It was like around the corner and out the door. Everybody was really excited to see Wall-E. Now, I have a question. I've seen Wall-E at cons, like fan-made Wall-Es, but how often has this official Wall-E appeared in the parks before?
So that's not the WDI Wall-E, because the WDI Wall-E that appeared at D23 is much larger than that one.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't
know.
I think
a
that
fan-made
could be
one that was.
I think it could be one of the rented droids, like they do with the droid makers, because that one's much smaller than the ones I've seen that with the WDI did.
So this could be the one that I've seen before at like WonderCon that maybe Disney just like rented out. I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw him because he was much smaller than I've seen before. Tony coming in and saying, yeah, look, considering looks third party dynamic. Because Wall-E, one of the rumors at the time when Wall-E was first kind of on the scene as a meetable character was that he was so wide that they had trouble with getting him through doorways easily, which was part of what reduced him. Like I say, that's the rumor out there, and that's not officially, but visually, I would say the one I saw would fit that rumor. Whereas this guy is nice and petite.
I mean, Tony would know best, but also my question is like this Wall-E feels like he is quote unquote life size. Like that's the size that Wall-E would be.
Ooh, I want to know
in
Tony
real life. Is that right?
Yeah. Tony,
or should he be bigger?
Is Wall-E not a fictional character and doesn't exist in real life, or am I mistaken?
Well, we're asking if this is Wall-E or somebody pretending to be Wall-E. Is this somebody in really great cosplay, or is this Wall-E himself?
He can wave and he does talk.
Yeah.
If that helps. I don't know.
Does he sing tunes from Hello Dolly?
I didn't hear that happen.
The Wall-E I met at the D23 Expos was like to my waist. This one looks like it's like maybe to your knee.
Yep, not terribly tall.
A lot of Wall-E analysis going on here.
Let's see.
Do you want to show off the? I don't know if we show the backdrop also.
Let me find that real quick.
While you're doing that, Tony says, based on the human size to bot scale depicted on the movie, this is pretty close, if not a bit smaller. Then again, the humans in the film are of size. So.
There you go. Here's that backdrop that he did not appear in front of, but was separately available for you to take pictures.
Was there a cockroach on there, Mike, anywhere?
Yes, isn't that one right there? Oh no, maybe not.
Is it by the cooler? I don't know. I did get close-ups of that stuff. I don't know if that was included in the article. Isn't that the roach there? Oh no, that's a plant. Sorry, that's the plant that lives in the boot.
The little plant.
Tony's
I thought it was going to be right here, but that's just the pull for the.
Yeah, roachy.
It's Al. apparently.
Oh.
So there you go.
Mochi.
Uh, Gio says, is that lol e?
Oh. Okay. If you guys are going to talk about Tokyo, I'm going to sign out for the night.
Jeremiah deserves a break. We're gonna let
No,
Jeremiah go.
We're wrapping it up. So thanks everyone for joining us. We're gonna do Mike, do you have time to chat about Tokyo?
Yeah.
Okay, then we
Yeah.
will say goodbye to Jeremiah, and
Okay.
and I'll be reaching out to you to find out if you if you want to chat about Disneyland Paris and Hong Kong separately, because
definitely
we've got
will,
so
yeah.
much more to talk about there. So
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
Well, thanks,
Bye,
Jeremiah. We'll
all.
see you later. Bye. GB, do you need
Oops.
Ah,
Sorry about that. Do I
dropped the
need you to
wrong one.
what?
Do you need me to wrap up, or are you good?
I just wanted to take a couple. I don't want to take. I don't have much time, but
Okay.
I haven't talked to Mike at all about Tokyo.
Okay.
I've given my opinion quite a bit. You haven't really talked about yours. I've had so many shows to talk about it. You two have had none so far, at least not that I've heard. Mike has had Who's the Boss, but
Yeah.
I haven't listened to that. So I'm just curious, Mike, what did you think of the Tokyo Disney Resort and especially Tokyo Disney Sea?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I feel like my jaw was hanging open the whole time, just agape. We did Tokyo Disneyland first, and just everything felt like, I think people have made this observation many times, but it felt just like better maintained than so much of what I've seen at the stateside parks. The first thing we did was Country Bear Jamboree,
Of
and
course.
and all the animatronics looked like they were brand new, like they were installed that day.
Wow.
And just I think every attraction we experienced, it felt familiar, but on a grander scale. And then over at Disney Sea, yeah, I think the biggest wow moment for me was walking into Mysterious Island, and just my brain immediately starts going like, how the heck did they build this? Like, how is it even possible? It seems like and not just an Imagineering feat, but an engineering feat that they were able to construct that. And yeah, Fantasy Springs is gorgeous, and the rides there were neat. And I really liked, we did the boats that just kind of take you around the canals and stuff.
Oh, Doobie didn't get to do those. He was so sad.
Really liked the Aquatopia as well.
Yes.
This is a lot of fun, and that ride never seemed to have much of a wait. The queue of Tower of Terror, I kind of fell in love with that. I wanted to just kind of hang out in there and look at all the neat stuff, because I think I was telling Tori while we were in that queue, like, I think my distaste for minimalism came from my love of Disney theme parks, because every inch of the walls in that queue is covered with something, and I just love looking at all that stuff.
Before you go on, Tony Betty jumping into the chat because he wants to make sure we did not talk about this today, Tony. We will be talking about it next time. But he took a look at the concept art that was in an OLC announcement, and there's some speculation as to what that could mean for the future of things like Aquatopia when you compare it to the current maps of the park. Our son Gideon is an attention to detail kind of guy, and he was really impressed with the way Tony provided evidence and anchored his analysis for that. So we'll have the link below, but we'll talk about that next time. Go ahead, Mike. You can jump.
Well, that would be a bummer if that ride went away, but we got to do it a few times, so at least we got to go on it.
Let me ask
Indiana
you, Mike,
Jones. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to ask you real quick. What would you say? You mentioned Mysterious Island was like your favorite thing about the park. What would you say is your favorite attraction at the park?
So we got to go back. So Tori went another half day on Saturday after the convention, and I met her there, and I got there in time to spend 2.5 hours at the park just to run around and do things. And my 3 that I wanted to do again during that revisit were Tower of Terror, Journey to the Center of the Earth, and of course Sinbad.
Buddy loves saying
But
that.
during that revisit, we also got on Aquatopia and we did the electric railway.
We did that. I love that.
Love that.
Yeah. So any of those really, I think if I had to pick one, I really do love Journey to the Center of the Earth, but it felt like I wanted it to be a little bit longer.
Okay.
Did you
don't know.
hit
It's a
any
tough
of the
choice.
Tennessee Springs attractions? I'm sorry if you mentioned that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did Frozen. We did Rapunzel and Peter Pan. And I think of those three, I was probably most impressed by Frozen. Beauty and the Beast in Tokyo Disneyland is also kind of jaw-dropping.
That was my overall favorite for the resort was Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Was there anything that kind of let you down? Like, because some of this stuff is so built up to us as Americans, who haven't been. So anything you got to go, well, that wasn't what it was cracked up to be.
Like
What's that?
Like Indiana Jones, maybe.
Well, I mean, Indy, the ride of Indy is pretty similar to what we have here, but the queue was really neat. And then I got to do, is it called Raging Spirits, which is basically, I think it's a clone of the Indiana Jones ride in Paris, which I never got to do because that was always under refurb when I was in Paris. So I was glad to do that. I like that. It's fun. My big disappointment was the merchandise. I don't know how you guys felt, but I was expecting there to be so much more merch that I wanted. And my example of that was going into the Nautilus gift shop in Mysterious Island and thinking, oh, there's going to be so much cool merch themed to this land. And I got in there and it was all Baymax.
It was all Baymax. I had that same realization. I'm like, what the heck? Yeah.
Like I couldn't come up with some kind of Nautilus. Like I told Benji this and he said, well, I'm sure it was like that when it first opened, but maybe it wasn't selling well. I don't know.
Their merchandise is remarkably unvaried between stores around the resort, and almost no t-shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, that kind of thing. None, which is interesting because as you look around, you don't see the Japanese guests wearing them either. Lots of headwear, but they just don't wear the Disney t-shirts in the same way, nearly the same frequency that we do here in the States.
No, the Disney love very much reflected in plush carried around, in headgear. And then my number one tip, especially to females, is on your first day, go into one of the shops that has all of those little hand towels and buy one, because they do not have very many. They have like 1 or 2 hand dryers in the bathroom and no paper towels. And so you end up, kind of walking out, shaking your hands. But if you look around, everybody else has a little hand towel that they just wipe their hands and then shove it in a pocket or shove it in their bag. And so, you just, because if your hands are clean, right, you're just drying off your clean hands. So, that's definitely, so, because for me, I knew I wanted one, but I didn't realize how useful it would have been to me at the beginning of my trip. And I didn't get it till like day 3. And I was like, 2 days. I could have used this for 2 other days instead of shaking my hands or wiping them off on my pants.
I strongly suspect this is literally true, that they sell more apparel for Duffy than for humans. There, Mike, did you become a Shandu cultist?
Tori definitely did. I admire Shandu, but I'm not part of the cult. I do think, like, after I walked off that ride, I was like, I need that song. And I found it on Spotify, but not with the lyrics. I don't know if you guys have. I'm sure it's available somewhere on YouTube.
There are many versions on YouTube, including one my wife sent me, sung by a Japanese woman, but in English, but with a Japanese accent, so I can understand, but still feel like I'm in Japan. And I love it very, very much.
Kyle also reminds me that, yes, a wide assortment snacks in beautiful tins.
Well, my friend explained to me that part of the culture, in that, I don't know if you guys had heard this. I'm sure you have. That if you're a local in Japan and you go on a trip anywhere, it's customary to bring back small gifts of food or treats or cakes or cookies as a gift to people when you come back home. And that's why those are available everywhere, including Star Wars Celebration, where they had like unique cookies that you could buy with the branding, the Celebration branding.
Yep.
We had a great time. I had something else I wanted to say. I wanted to get a t-shirt that just said Tokyo Disney Sea on it. And the only one we could find was, I'm sure you guys saw this too. It was black on black. Did you see that one?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Absolutely.
Tokyo Disneyland
Black on black, which
and
for me
Tokyo
would have been triply
Disney was
redundant.
white on
and-
white. It's white on white. Yeah, no, that was shocking because I went there with the express purpose of buying a zip hoodie. I needed a new zip hoodie, and so I'm like, I won't. I was just at Walt Disney World. I was just at Disneyland, and I'm like, I'm not going to get one here because I know I need a new one. But I'm going to Tokyo Disney Resort. I'll get one over there. And I only saw one, and it wasn't even a Tokyo Disney Resort. It was in celebration of Sorcerer Mickey, and so I was like, no. But but their popcorn bucket game, that's undeniably
so
awesome.
many. Everywhere we went, we saw a new, different bucket that we hadn't seen before.
No, go ahead.
I had something else about the Sinbad attraction, because after we went on it, I went and read the Wikipedia article and learned the history of that attraction, and how like for the first 6 years it didn't have the song, it didn't have Chandu, and it was like, it was pretty, I guess it was a darker themed attraction, and they
watch
really
a video.
brightened it up.
You should watch the video.
Yeah, we watched one on YouTube this past
amazing
weekend.
The difference. Yeah.
Completely different. Same characters, same visuals, completely different attraction. It's crazy.
Now you famously around these parts have a restricted diet. How did you find trying to find food there?
It was interesting. So at the Tokyo Disney Resort, at both parks, they have, I think, 2 items that are basically like the allergy meals, and it doesn't matter what allergy you have, this is what you get. You can choose between one of these 2 things, and they're good for, if you have a nut allergy, egg allergy, wheat allergy like me, you get this. It's all the same thing. And I thought they were okay. I think I had one of each, and I was good. We pre-purchased before our trip a whole bunch of granola bars, and that's really what I survived on most of the trip.
I know we're beginning to wrap up here, Mike. I hope that we'll all get together, like I say, and discuss Tokyo Disney, because I think our viewers would really enjoy, especially since we have such a variety of interests. Doobie, before we wrap up, let's answer Gio's question. There were a plethora of popcorn flavors. How many? Okay, I can tell you what our family tried, and then Doobie, you can share what you thought was the best. We tried salted caramel. We tried what I would call a Neapolitan. That was a mixture of chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. We tried traditional. We tried
cheddar curry.
Cheddar. We tried curry. And I think that's it. I think just the 5.
That's it.
Yeah, I think just the 5.
And we went back a 4th day to Tokyo Disneyland.
Yeah, we were
specifically in large part because I was sad I did not get to try enough popcorn. That was important for me, and we got to try many more that day. I think my overall favorite.
That's the other one, Doobie.
Oh, honey. Thank you. I think my overall favorite. They were all good, none great. My overall favorite was probably the cheddar, although that very first one, I forget about that very first one, the Neapolitan, the strawberry and the Neapolitan was really, really good. That may have been my overall favorite, is the strawberry and the Neapolitan.
I was a big fan of the honey. The curry was funny because the first few kernels of the curry I tried, I was like, oh, this is terrible. But then as I kept eating it, I loved it, and I ended up eating like way too much of it.
Are you able to do popcorn, Mike?
I can. I didn't take a risk with any of the specialty flavored ones, but I did get a whiff of them as we walked past. I did want to mention I think the merchandise, but I did end up buying the very neat little Matchbox Cars versions of the attraction vehicles that I'm sure Gideon is into also.
Gideon bought several. Yes.
I didn't get that one, but I got the 20,000 Leagues one. I got the Aquatopia one.
Yeah,
Gideon. The Indiana Jones one.
Yeah. Gideon did those as well. I did not buy tongs. And if I could, Christmas bucket, 3 flavors, what would they be? And what? Okay, that we'll have to bring around next time, because we have Jeremiah here too. So that you'll have to tune in next week to find out. The LP Cruise Christmas bucket of flavors and characters. I just
wanted to say as we close out, I cannot believe how much I enjoyed Tokyo Disney Resort. I fully expected to have a good time, but be like, I'd much rather go to Paris given the choice. But no, Tokyo Disney Resort, even aside from Disney Sea, just being there was spectacular. I'm so thankful I had the opportunity to go. I hope I get to go again. if you're at all concerned about any reason going to someplace exotic like that, please put it aside. Go. I promise you're going to have a great time. It was fantastic.
No, definitely go. And if you're really super concerned about it, we know an excellent bilingual guide.
That's what we do
reach
now.
out to us, and she's a big Disney fan. She's been following Laughing Place for a decade, and so she would be happy to go with you to the parks and make sure that you have a good time. So, yeah.
Yes, Mike. Mike.
I have one last thing, and I should have had it with me. Did you guys get the little duck noisemaker thing?
Rebecca kept vacillating on it, and it was my intent just to bring one home and surprise her, just in case, just because. And I did not, and I'm kicking myself.
Did you get one? You got one, Mike?
We got one. We had to. We were like, we have to get this to memorialize this trip.
Write yourself a note. We want to have that for next Monday show.
Bring it to Monday show, because we were thinking it would be fun to give Jeremiah a hard time with it. When he starts talking about, we usually do the people noise. We could do the quackers.
If you guys both had one, now I'm even more sorry that I didn't get one.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We will be back next Monday to do this again. I'll be back tomorrow morning with special guest host Tony Betty, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. I'm off to see a movie. Will he stay awake? Tune in tomorrow to find out. Bye, everybody.
I think I'm also going to see a movie. I'm going to see Revenge of the Sith.
Ooh, it did well at the box office.
I got to talk to Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, we did.
I did not know that.